He was born in Roswell, New Mexico, 4 years before the town became linked forever with America's most famous UFO mystery. His father was a decorated Air Force pilot who broke the sound barrier, but his son later said he could not remember hearing him say, "I love you." He was also an experienced pilot. According to him, he passed every test NASA gave him to be the first civilian in space. He had placed 4 singles at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. He had written a song that became Peter, Paul and Mary's only American #1 hit. 2 states would eventually adopt his music as part of their official identity. Yet the man who made home sound peaceful admitted that his own home became violent. During the collapse of his first marriage, he described infidelity, substance use, choking his wife, and destroying furniture with a chainsaw. The public saw wire-rimmed glasses, mountain scenery, and an acoustic guitar. The people closest to him saw the anger too. He sold more than 33 million records, yet his only Grammy came after his death. He never heard his name announced. The experimental airplane that killed him had been purchased just 15 days earlier. Its builder had moved the fuel selector behind the pilot's shoulder, far from the position the original designer intended. His final radio transmission sounded calm. "Do you have it now?" Then the signal vanished. The record sales are real. The chainsaw admission is real. The toxicology report is real. This is John Denver's real story. Chapter 1. A boy without a hometown. Henry John Deutschendorf Jr. was born on December 31, 1943, in Roswell, New Mexico. His father, Henry John Dutch Deutschendorf Sr., was a career military pilot. His mother was Irma Louise Swope Deutschendorf. Because of Dutch's assignments, the family moved repeatedly. They lived in places including Tucson, Arizona, Montgomery, Alabama, and Fort Worth, Texas. Each transfer brought another house, another school, and another set of unfamiliar faces. Denver later described his father as strict and emotionally distant, a man who struggled to show affection. For a child, that life made everything feel temporary. Friends disappeared, familiar streets vanished. Just when a town began to feel normal, the boxes came out again. Music became the exception. Around the age of 11, Denver received his grandmother's guitar. He took lessons, sang in a boys' choir, and discovered that the instrument gave him something his childhood had not: continuity. A guitar could move with him. A melody did not disappear when military orders changed, and a song could become part of him no matter where the family lived. By the time they settled in Fort Worth, Denver was deeply unhappy. Texas did not feel like home, and he imagined that the musical life he wanted was waiting somewhere else. As a teenager, he tried to reach it. Denver took his father's car and drove toward California, hoping to begin a life in music. Dutch responded in the language he understood best. He flew after him. Denver's father found him, brought him back to Texas, and made sure he finished school. The incident exposed the conflict that followed them for years. John wanted freedom. Dutch believed in duty, order, and completing what had been started. After graduating from Arlington Heights High School, Denver enrolled at Texas Technological College, now Texas Tech University, and studied architecture. The respectable plan did not last. He performed with a folk group called the Alpine Trio, developing his voice and learning how to hold an audience. Architecture offered stability, but music pulled harder. Denver left college before graduating and moved to Los Angeles. There was an irony in that choice. The boy who hated being moved from town to town had chosen a profession built around travel. Hotels, clubs, highways, and airports would become his adult landscape. This time, though, he had chosen the road himself. Chapter 2. Becoming John Denver. The folk clubs of Los Angeles were crowded with young singers carrying acoustic guitars and chasing the same opportunities. Denver performed wherever he could and pursued auditions. His surname, Deutschendorf, created an obvious problem. It was difficult to pronounce, difficult to remember, and too long for many marquees. Folk impresario Randy Sparks, founder of the New Christie Minstrels, encouraged him to choose something shorter. Denver selected the name of the Colorado city he admired. He became John Denver. The choice did more than solve a marketing problem. Colorado represented the kind of place his childhood had denied him. It suggested mountains, open space, calm, and permanence. Before he wrote the songs that connected him to that landscape, He had already made it part of his identity. His first major break arrived in 1965. The Chad Mitchell Trio needed a new lead singer. After Chad Mitchell left, Denver auditioned and won the job, reportedly against more than 250 applicants. The exact number has been repeated for years, but the outcome is clear. Denver joined the trio. For the first time, he had a recognized platform. Touring and recording with an established act taught him how a professional folk group operated and brought him into the orbit of producer Milt O'Coon. As original members departed, the act eventually became Denver, Boise, and Johnson, featuring Denver, David Boise, and Michael Johnson. By 1969, that version had ended too. The group did not make Denver famous. One song did. He had written a farewell ballad called "Babe, I Hate to Go." O'Coon believed the title could be stronger and encouraged him to rename it "Leaving on a Jet Plane."
I'm leaving on a jet plane.
Denver included the song on a privately made demonstration recording that he gave to friends as a Christmas present. Then O'Coon brought it to Peter, Paul, and Mary. Their recording reached #1 in 1969. Suddenly, Denver had written one of the biggest songs in America, but most listeners still did not know his voice. The melody belonged to him. The fame belonged to the group singing it. It was both a breakthrough and a warning. He had proved he could write a hit. He had not yet proved that he could become one. Denver signed with RCA Records and released Rhymes and Reasons in 1969. The label offered limited promotion, so he began building an audience himself. He contacted colleges, coffee houses, schools, American Legion halls, and local radio stations. Sometimes he performed without a guaranteed fee. Elsewhere, he accepted a share of the ticket money. One town, one room, one interview at a time. His next albums, Take Me to Tomorrow and Whose Garden Was This, arrived in 1970. Neither made him a household name. Still, audiences responded to his directness. He sang clearly, spoke plainly, and made listeners feel that his songs belonged in ordinary homes. All he needed was the right recording. Chapter 3. The Road That Changed Everything. By 1971, Denver had a record contract, several albums, and years of touring behind him. He still needed the song that would turn persistence into a real career. That song began with Bill Danoff and Taffy Nivert. The pair performed as Fat City and later became connected with the Starland Vocal Band. They were also part of Denver's musical circle, contributing as writers and backing singers. Danoff and Nivert had been working on a song about a road, a distant place, and the pull of returning somewhere that felt more like home. The song was "Take Me Home, Country Roads." Denver heard it and immediately recognized its power.
These country roads take me home.
The three finished the composition together, and he recorded it for Poems, Prayers and Promises, released in 1971. The single reached #2 on the Billboard Hot 100. After the auditions, group changes, low-budget tours, and limited label support, John Denver finally had a major hit in his own voice. The record felt personal even to listeners who had never visited West Virginia. Beneath the place names was a universal feeling, the desire to return somewhere stable, recognizable, and safe. Denver knew that feeling well. The boy who never kept one hometown became famous for singing about the road leading back to one. The song changed his career almost immediately. Radio stations had a reason to play him. Audiences had a chorus they could sing with him. RCA now had proof that its quiet folk performer could become a major commercial artist. Denver followed it with Rocky Mountain High in 1972.
Rocky Mountain High, Colorado.
Colorado was no longer simply the source of his professional name. It had become the center of his public identity. The title song described the emotional force Denver found in the mountains and natural world. He later explained that part of its inspiration came from watching a meteor shower beneath a clear Colorado sky. Some broadcasters interpreted the word high as a drug reference. Denver rejected that reading. To him, the phrase meant altitude, wonder, and the feeling of being overwhelmed by the landscape. The argument revealed a problem that followed him for years. His lyrics sounded simple, so critics sometimes assumed they were shallow or coded. Denver insisted that he meant what he sang. Mountains were mountains. Sunlight was sunlight. Home was home. In 1973, RCA released John Denver's Greatest Hits. The title might have seemed early for a performer whose breakthrough had come only 2 years earlier, but the collection became one of the defining releases of his career. The days of calling small halls and hoping people remembered his name were ending. His wire-rimmed glasses, light hair, acoustic guitar, and easy smile made him a television natural. He looked approachable, while the songs offered escape from crowded cities and political tension. The image concealed a growing contradiction. The public heard peace. The career demanded movement. Then came 1974. Sunshine on My Shoulders reached #1.
Shine on my shoulders makes me happy.
And the album Back Home Again pushed Denver toward complete cultural dominance.
Hey, it's good to be back home again.
Chapter 4, The Peak and the Cracks Back Home Again, contained Annie's Song, written for Denver's wife, Annie Martell Denver.
Let me love you. Come love me again.
Denver had married Annie in 1967. The song presented love as something complete and natural, as immediate as rain, mountains, and wind. Audiences heard devotion without complication. Life at home was becoming much more complicated. Fame required tours, recording sessions, interviews, and television appearances. The man whose music celebrated belonging spent longer periods away from Annie and their adopted children, Zachary and Anna Kate. Success had recreated the instability Denver hated as a child. Another major hit followed in 1975. Thank God I'm a Country Boy reached #1, although Denver did not write it. The song came from his guitarist and band member, John Martin Summers. The public associated it completely with Denver anyway. That same year brought Windsong. I'm Sorry became Denver's 4th #1 single on the Billboard Hot 100, while Calypso reached #2. Denver wrote Calypso as a tribute to explorer Jacques Cousteau and his research vessel. The recording connected his commercial success with environmental causes that were becoming increasingly important to him. For a brief period, almost anything seemed possible. Denver could release a love song, a country celebration, or a tribute to ocean research and still reach a mass audience. His records crossed pop, country, folk, and adult contemporary charts. Country music did not embrace him without resistance. At the 1975 Country Music Association Awards, Denver was named Entertainer of the Year. Presenter Charlie Rich opened the envelope, announced Denver's name, placed the card in an ashtray, and set it on fire. It became one of the most famous images in country music history. Rich's motive was never settled. Some believed he resented Denver's crossover success. Other explanations involved alcohol, medication, humor, or anger about Nashville's changing direction. Whatever Rich intended, the moment looked brutal. Denver had received the industry's highest honor, yet the card carrying his name burned in front of the audience. The scene captured his strange place in music. The public bought his records by the millions, but some traditionalists considered him an outsider. Critics often treated his optimism as weakness. Denver continued working. He starred opposite George Burns in the successful 1977 comedy, Oh God. Television specials, awards broadcasts, and holiday projects made him one of the most familiar entertainers of the decade. In 1979, he recorded John Denver and the Muppets, A Christmas Together, and appeared at the Music for UNICEF concert. The public image kept expanding. The strain behind it did too. Denver later admitted infidelity during his marriage to Annie. Alcohol and drug use added more pressure, while anger that rarely appeared on stage became increasingly difficult to control at home. The peaceful songs were real, so was the damage. Chapter 5, When Home Broke Apart. The marriage that inspired Annie's song did not survive the life surrounding it. Denver and Annie Martell. Denver separated and eventually divorced during the early 1980s. Sources differ on whether the final legal year was 1982 or 1983, but Denver later described the collapse in painful detail. His own account made it impossible to hide behind the public image. In his autobiography, Denver admitted infidelity, substance use, destructive anger, and violence. During one confrontation, he said he choked Annie. In another, he used a chainsaw to destroy furniture. These stories did not come from an enemy. Denver admitted them himself. The contradiction was severe. Audiences knew the man who sang about tenderness, safety, and returning home. Inside his own home, the marriage had become unstable and frightening. That does not mean every gentle song was false. It means the person who wrote them was more difficult than the image suggested. Denver could love his family and still hurt them. He could write about peace while failing to control his anger. He could support humanitarian causes while damaging the people closest to him. His commercial position was changing too. By the end of the 1970s, disco, punk, new wave, and polished country pop were reshaping radio. Denver no longer stood at the center of popular music. He did not disappear. Recording, touring, acting, and television work continued. In 1981, he collaborated with opera singer Placido Domingo on Perhaps Love. Denver also devoted more attention to causes beyond his career. He served on the Presidential Commission on World and Domestic Hunger and supported tree planting, sustainable living, environmental education, and international humanitarian work. Through the WinStar Foundation, he promoted ecological responsibility. In 1985, Denver testified before the United States Senate during hearings about warning labels and supposedly dangerous music. He explained that Rocky Mountain High described the emotional experience of the mountains, not intoxication. The singer, often dismissed as harmless, was now defending artistic freedom before Congress. His private life remained unsettled. Denver later married Australian actress Cassandra Delaney, and their daughter, Jessie Belle Denver, was born in 1990. That marriage also ended amid separations, conflict, and continuing personal problems. Alcohol became more than a family matter. Denver was arrested more than once for driving under the influence. The Federal Aviation Administration denied or revoked his aviation medical certification after he failed to satisfy sobriety requirements. That mattered because flying had become one of the strongest connections between Denver and his father. Dutch Deutschendorf's military career had once helped create the distance between them, but aircraft later gave father and son a language they could share. Denver became an experienced pilot, logging more than 2,700 hours. Flight helped repair part of their relationship. It also introduced another danger. By 1997, Denver did not possess a valid medical certificate. His alcohol history therefore followed early reports of the crash that ended his life. The toxicology results changed that story. No alcohol was found in his body. No prohibited drugs were found in his body. The cause was inside the airplane. Chapter 6: The Last Flight. On October 12, 1997, John Denver prepared to fly an experimental aircraft near Monterey, California. The plane was an amateur-built Adrian Davis Long EZ. Denver had purchased it only recently. He was not an inexperienced pilot. He had logged more than 2,700 hours and held ratings for several types of aircraft. But experience in one airplane does not automatically transfer to another. Denver had completed only a brief familiarization flight in the Long EZ before taking it up alone. The aircraft also carried a dangerous design problem. Its fuel selector handle had been moved from the intended position and placed behind the pilot's left shoulder. The fuel gauge was difficult to see from the seat. One tank still contained fuel. The selected tank was nearly empty. Denver took off and flew above Monterey Bay. Witnesses saw the aircraft moving several hundred feet above the water. Then the engine lost power. Investigators believe Denver tried to reach the fuel selector behind his shoulder. To do it, he likely had to twist inside the narrow cockpit. The plane turned sharply. It entered a steep descent. It hit the water. John Denver died instantly from multiple blunt force trauma. He was 53 years old and the only person aboard. His final known radio exchange had not been a distress call. It concerned the aircraft's transponder and whether the airport could see its signal. Denver asked, "Do you have it now?" Then the airplane disappeared. The National Transportation Safety Board concluded that Denver probably lost control while attempting to operate the poorly positioned fuel selector after the engine lost power. Investigators also identified his limited transition training and the builder's relocation of the selector as contributing factors. Alcohol was not found in his body. Drugs were not found in his body. The invalid medical certificate was real, but intoxication did not cause the crash. The fuel was there. He could not reach it safely. The irony was immediate. The man who wrote "Leaving on a Jet Plane" had died in an aircraft. The singer who spent his life searching for home fell into the water while flying near the place where he hoped to remain close to his youngest daughter. But the deeper connection began much earlier. As a teenager, he drove toward California to escape. His father came flying after him and brought him home. Decades later, Denver had become the pilot. There was no one in the second seat. No one could reach over. No one could bring him back. John Denver spent his life trying to turn movement into belonging. He chose the name of a place before that place truly became home. Then he wrote about roads, mountains, sunlight, family, and the hope that somewhere ahead, life might finally feel settled. Millions believed him because the longing was real. The contradictions were real too. That gentle voice belonged to a man capable of violence. The environmental advocate struggled with alcohol. The husband and father who sang beautifully about home often hurt the people waiting inside one. His failures do not erase the music. The music does not excuse his failures. Both truths remain. Denver also used his fame to fight hunger, defend artistic freedom, and protect the natural world. And the songs kept traveling. Perhaps that became the home John Denver spent his life searching for. Not one house, not one mountain, a song people still return to.